Why is California the most expensive state? California is the most expensive state in the Union despite being well known for its breathtaking scenery, rich cultural heritage, and thriving economy. Housing, taxes, and other daily expenses are among the many factors that contribute to the high cost of living. In this video, we will go through 7 key points that highlight why living in California comes with a hefty price tag. Number 7. High housing costs. With large cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego continuously ranking among the most expensive in the country, California's housing market is a perfect illustration of excessive price inflation. San Francisco's median home price as of 2023 was close to $1.5 million, and comparable figures were reported for Los Angeles and San Diego, where the median price was over $800,000. The wide disparity between this and the $389,800 national median property price emphasizes how hard it is on locals financially. There are numerous causes contributing to these high pricing. High earners who can afford to pay top dollar for homes are drawn to the burgeoning industry, which intensifies competition in desirable districts. Furthermore, California's physical limitations, the ocean to the west and mountains to the east, reduce the amount of land that can be developed, which makes it challenging to increase the number of housing options. The prevailing societal inclination towards single-family homes as opposed to multi-unit buildings intensifies the disparity between supply and demand. A large number of prospective homeowners are priced out of the market, which raises the demand for rentals and ultimately rental prices. As a result, many people are forced to live in cramped or inadequate housing. Even those with steady earnings may find it difficult to find suitable home. Number 6. Housing shortage. The lack of affordable housing in California is a serious problem that makes the state's affordability issues much worse. California has a population that is about 40 million, but the state has never produced enough new homes to fulfill demand. Numerous studies, including those conducted by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, indicate that the state will require millions of more housing units in order to adequately house its expanding workforce and population. Strict zoning regulations that limit the locations and types of new developments are one contributing factor, as are drawn-out regulatory procedures that can cause projects to be delayed for years or even decades. These laws are frequently enforced by local governments in an effort to maintain the unique character of the neighborhood and save environmental resources, but they may unintentionally hinder the supply of new homes. Another important factor is community opposition, sometimes known as not-in-my-backyard, whereby locals oppose new developments because they fear increased traffic, altered neighborhood character, or negative environmental effects. Due to the lack of housing due to a mix of community opposition and governmental obstacles, many residents are forced to live in cramped conditions or make long commutes from more affordable places. In addition to having an impact on specific households, the absence of reasonably priced options has larger ramifications for social fairness and economic mobility in the state. Number 5. Overall cost of living. The entire cost of living in California is almost 38% more than the national average, which has an impact on more facets of everyday life than just housing expenses. Food, medical care, daycare, and other necessities are all noticeably more expensive in California than they are in other states. For instance, increased labor and transportation costs involved with obtaining food in a state with strict agricultural laws that place a higher priority on sustainability and quality than on cost-cutting techniques and result in higher supermarket prices. Healthcare prices are extremely expensive. California has some of the highest health insurance rates in the country because of factors including a high service demand and comparatively high medical expenditures brought on by specialized therapies and advanced technologies available in urban areas. Transportation expenses can mount up quickly. State taxes intended to finance environmental and infrastructure projects cause gasoline prices to frequently surpass the national average. Families sometimes find that they must set aside a bigger percentage of their income for these essentials, which leaves less money for savings or discretionary spending on investments or leisure. Many residents may experience higher levels of stress and a lower quality of life as a result of this financial hardship. Number 4. High taxes. California has one of the most progressive tax systems in the country, which accounts for a large portion of the state's high cost of living. The state levies a progressive income tax system with rates ranging from 1% for low earners to 13.3% for high earners, among the highest rates in the country. This means that people who make substantial salaries have to pay large amounts of taxes, which can be particularly taxing when combined with federal income taxes. In addition, property taxes are based on current market values. Homeowners' property tax obligations have increased in tandem with property values as a result of rising real estate prices. In addition, local taxes in some places, like Los Angeles County, can raise total rates above 10%, making California one of the states with the highest sales tax rates. These taxes support public services that are vital to the state, like healthcare, education, and infrastructure improvements like roads and public transportation systems, but they also impose an additional financial burden on residents who may already be struggling to pay for expensive housing and other living expenses. Number 3. Strong economic demand. California boasts one of the world's largest and most varied economies, propelled by vital sectors including technology, entertainment, agriculture, and tourism. Large companies like Apple, Google, Facebook Meta, and Netflix draw highly qualified workers looking for high-paying jobs and cutting-edge work settings that encourage creativity and professional development. The increased number of people moving to California for employment or study, especially in tech hubs like Silicon Valley, is creating strong competition for housing and services in metropolitan areas where these jobs are concentrated. As a result, demand for housing is rising faster than supply can keep up. This dynamic causes prices for ordinary items and services as well as residences to rise as companies modify their pricing tactics in response to local economic conditions and customer spending power. As a result, the economy becomes more vibrant and draws in more people, but it also exacerbates affordability issues in a number of industries. This vicious cycle makes it harder for many workers to maintain a reasonable standard of living even in high-paying jobs. Number 2. Regulatory challenges. The regulatory framework in California presents serious obstacles to the building of affordable housing throughout the state. Local governments frequently implement stringent zoning laws with the intention of maintaining community character and safeguarding environmental resources. However, these laws can severely impede new construction endeavors by restricting density or necessitating lengthy environmental reviews that unnecessarily extend project timelines. Getting permits for new construction can be a drawn-out process that takes years or even decades to complete and involves various levels of bureaucracy, such as public hearings and local planning commissions. Furthermore, sustainability-focused environmental rules can make development projects even more complex by calling for thorough evaluations and compliance measures, which raise building costs and may cause project completion deadlines to be far later than originally projected. Therefore, regulatory obstacles can seriously impede progress even in cases where there is an evident need for additional housing units, particularly reasonably priced ones, while retaining a high demand relative to a restricted supply. Number 1. High utility costs. Due to a number of issues, including climate policies that support renewable energy sources and preserve infrastructure integrity in the face of rising demand from a growing population, California has some of the highest utility bills in the country. In contrast to other states that rely on fossil fuels or less expensive energy sources, California's efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, for example, have resulted in significant investments in renewable energy technologies, such as solar power. Nevertheless, these initiatives frequently translate into higher electricity prices, mainly because of the higher operating costs of maintaining renewable energy infrastructure while gradually moving away from conventional energy sources and toward more environmentally friendly alternatives like wind or solar power generation techniques, which demand a large initial financial outlay but eventually pay off in the form of lower emissions across a variety of societal sectors. Substantially affects the bills of residential customers both directly and indirectly through increased energy costs that are passed along through supply chains and have an impact on everything from the logistics of food production all the way down to retail distribution networks, ultimately having a direct financial influence on customers' wallets when they subsequently spend at neighborhood retailers after all expenses have been deducted from each stage of the paths that go back to the original production beginnings upstream. These points highlight how interrelated variables contribute to California's status as the most costly state in the U.S., generating significant hurdles for its citizens seeking inexpensive living circumstances amidst rising costs across several fronts. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.